the first strikeout.
And along with now 30 strikeouts, only 6 walks, is outstanding as Lara Beauté swings and misses. The senior batting .438, starting her 14th game. 14 base hits, 5 of them doubles, 1 triple, 1 homer. That's out of play. So 7 of her 14 hits, Coach, are for extras.
And that's what she's been known her entire career for, is her ability to swing the bat. Started her career at Tennessee, then moved over to Houston, now finishing her career at Ole Miss. And she is a force in the 2 spot. Just tremendous power, gap to gap power.
Drawn 11 walks. Working her way into the lineup with these numbers. As Carol said, she's become a fixture for the Rebels. Here's the 0-2. LaCantera pounded that outer edge against the leadoff hitter. Outfield straight away. Got her to chase. Back-to-back strikeouts to open the game. That had some run on it.
LaCantera with a lot of success early in the game, working both Ole Miss hitters on the outer corner. And that ball is, as you mentioned, Dick, it's moving through the zone. It's not just hitting a corner, hitting a location, a flat pitch. She's got a lot of movement on the ball so far today. And it's that drop curve. You see it there to get ahead against Binford. And that drop curve spin is going to run away from hitters. And if you're not tracking that ball deep in the zone, you see Binford make the adjustment, go in the back of the box, let the ball travel a little bit. It's going to be a tough pitch to hit.
Now works the opposite edge. LaCantera, the senior from Stanhope, New Jersey. Two outs here in the first inning, just underway. Jammed her. Doing everything she can to keep that ball on either edge.
I've seen that a lot from LaCantera this season. Just good command of both sides of the plate. And that's when you know you've arrived a little bit as a pitcher. If you are really solid on one side of the plate and have good command but not the other, hitters can hunt that side of the plate and sit on that side of the plate. But this year, LaCantera has good command both inside and outside.
Just below the zone. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Allie Mitchell behind the plate. That is basically the battery that you almost always see with LaCantera. That was up in the zone a little bit. She'd love to have that pitch back with Binford.
Well, that's what makes this Ole Miss offense just so productive. They've got a good combination of speed and power really through the entire lineup.
2-2. Do it all over again. And
they're a very experienced team. I mean, between the amount of transfers they brought in, Binford being one of those coming over from Baylor.
Yep.
Actually a 6th-year senior. They have a lot of seniors in their lineup and a lot of experience and a lot of at-bats under their belt when they started at this Ole Miss program. And that's been very productive for them this season.
Into the alley. That's going to drop. And it's going to find the wall. Binford making the turn. And she's into second base easily with a 2-out double. Good at bat and a mistake by LaCantera. Binford going with a pitch.
A good battle from Binford. She gets right on the plate, anticipating that drop curve, and so she's able to stay in her legs, throw the barrel to the opposite field, and she shows you the type of opposite field power she has. This one gets all the way to the warning track. Ole Miss finds themselves with a runner in scoring position early.
Now Percy Yamas with a runner in scoring position and 2 out. First 2 hitters struck out. One was caught looking against La Quintana. But Binford parked that last pitch for her 8th double.
Well, this is a tough out with Yamas. Even though she's a freshman, she is one of the top hitters in the SEC. She's actually #1 in the country, and of course the SEC in terms of toughest to strike out. So this is a hitter that knows how to battle. Usually you're going to have to field the ball, make something happen, because she is just so good at putting the ball in play.
She's reached in 25 of 29, and now she's reached again, and she has driven in the first run of the game. Down that left field line, nicely done by Percy Yamas. Drives home Binford, and it's 1-0 Ole Miss.
Just continue to be so impressed with this freshman. She's right on that plate, again, anticipating that ball on the outer half, and she's able to keep her barrel level enough and gets out in front of the ball, even though it's on the outer half, and finds a gap. I mean, this young hitter just is so savvy for a freshman. It's always tough for a freshman to come into Division I softball and really hit the type of movement pitches you're going to see at this level, and Yamas has adjusted very quickly.
And now the dangerous Lexi Brady stands in. 10 home runs on the year. She's driven in 30. The early 1-0 lead for Mississippi. Ole Miss, that is. After the first 2 batters struck out against La Quintana.
Well, and you really see the hitting plan from Ole Miss. They're going back in the box, and they're getting on the plate. And they're really hunting, looking for that outside pitch. And we've seen some success from that with the last 2 hitters. Binford being able to go to the opposite field as a right-handed batter. Yamas, left-handed hitter, being able to go to the opposite field. And so if you're La Quintana, you're Rachel Lawson calling those pitches, I look for them to use a little more off speed, at least disrupt the timing, and then have to attack the inner half of the plate as well.
1-2 pitch. Jammed her under the hands. Good pitch. And we'll do it again. Brady, 13 home runs last year, Coach. He already has 10 now. She is in the top 10 all time at Ole Miss in home runs, slugging, on base percentage. To be able to plug her into the lineup is quite a luxury. Began this year 0 for 11, but she's already hitting .386. And again, battling, just as Binford did, and Binford finally got a chance to take advantage of a La Quintana mistake.
And just her swing path, she really gets good elevation on the ball. Not a pop-up, so to speak, but just gets that good backspin. Some hitters just have a little knack for doing that. Just
pulled the string on it. Brady from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Quite a change from Sioux Falls to Oxford, Mississippi. Great town, Oxford. Lined into the alley. That's going to find the wall. And they're going to hold the runner at third as Yamas stops. And a 3rd consecutive base knock for the Rebels.
Lexi Brady so tough at battling, but this is a pitch that La Quintana leaves right over the heart of the plate, a mistake, and Lexi Brady does not miss. Yamas is running hard, but just does not have the speed to get all the way around to score, and that lends to a conversation here with Coach Rachel Lawson. This is mainly for her pitcher, La Quintana, and gonna mix some things up. That's 3 consecutive hits after getting the first 2 strikeouts of the inning. 3 consecutive hits for the Rebels, and looking for more.
So what do you think Lawson is saying to her pitcher?
think a lot about, well, she knows that one was a mistake. There's no doubt about it. So just a little redirect, little refocus for Lakatena. Hey, let's stretch the zone a little bit. And I also believe we'll see that off-speed pitch a little bit more. We haven't seen it. We've seen it a couple times in this first inning, but not as much as Lakatena could throw it, because she does have good command.
Now another talented freshman, Mackenzie Pickens, batting .395. Base hits in each of the first 2 games in this series, and now she's on bases full of Rebels.
And there you see the adjustment. Lakatena knows they're sitting on that outer half. They're seeing what we're seeing up here. And so Lakatena says, all right, I need to come back with that pitch on the inner half. And she cannot close it up. It's a drop ball that she cannot close. There's no chance for Pickens. And now the bases are full.
Now Jaden Pone. She had a big 2-run single yesterday in the Ole Miss victory. There's that outer edge that Lakatena needs to live. And did so well with the first 2 batters. Struck out the first 2. Next 4 have reached.
Well, this is a big moment in the game, Dick. You know, sometimes you look back and you think, where did the game really change? Well, sometimes it can be the first inning. And if Kentucky can get out of this inning only giving up 1 run, that would be a victory in this top of the first for the Wildcats.
Jaden Pone transferred in from Longwood. A midweek game against Iowa State. 2 base hits, including an RBI triple in the victory over the Hawkeyes. Or rather, the Cyclones. Got the Iowas mixed up.
And something she's really added to her game. She's always been a slapper and always has had good speed, still does, but really has worked on swinging away. You saw her swing away in her first 2 strikes of this at-bat, and now with 2 strikes is reverting back to the slapper. She feels like she has more barrel control.
Lakatena tried to cross her up coming inside. That had some break on it. But it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jaden Pone. Earlier this year, had a grand slam over Nicholls State. Slapped it over the fence. Hutchins with an acrobatic play as she hauls it in and just has enough as a wide receiver would haul it in. She had possession of the ball and ends the inning. 1-0 Ole Miss. Crop Stadium, Dick Gabriel, the coach, Carol Bruggeman. Ole Miss with the early 1-0 lead as the Wildcats will come to the plate for the first time against Miley Wachenio. And there you see her numbers. And another talented freshman, Carol.
Just having an outstanding season. Really has been the go-to pitcher. Has evolved as the ace for the Ole Miss staff. You're going to see her throw a rise to all levels. Also can throw a drop ball down in the zone. You're going to see spin, spin, and more spin. And that has led to a lot of strikeouts this season. And really fearless for a freshman. When you watch her demeanor in the circle, you see how she handles situation. You would not say she is a freshman. She is composed and fearless in the circle.
Here's the way the Wildcats will come to the plate. Hallie Mitchell having a big weekend, including that game on Friday with a walk-off 3-run homer, providing the drama and the victory for the Wildcats here at John Crop Stadium. They play her deep even though the wind's blowing in, but Allie Hutchins does have 4 home runs, 3rd on the team in that department. This is Kentucky's 9th SEC game of the year. Number 6 for Ole Miss. SEC is typically brutal, maybe more so now with Oklahoma and Texas joining up. Definitely more so. Runs it inside, yet to find the strike zone. 3 balls, no strikes.
Well, this is a new role for Hutchins. Mackenzie Bump has been the leadoff hitter the majority of the season for Kentucky. She is out today with a knee injury, and so Hutchins has stepped into that role this weekend and has done a nice job.
does her job getting on base. Oceania, though, has had some control issues. That's her 29th walk. But she has struck out 129.
Well, and that 129 is good for the top 10 in the country,
Yep.
not just in the SEC. And you don't see that a whole lot from freshmen. So that leads to the senior, Alexi Brady, going out and just having a conversation about what she's seeing. She catches her every day in the bullpen. She's caught her a lot in the games this season. Like, hey, let's make this little adjustment and bring it back, and let's get this next out. But I can't say enough about what Cheney has done this season in the circle for the Ole Miss Rebels.
So now Madison Clark, the Oregon State transfer from Claremont, California, getting the start at second base today. Tying run at first base for the Wildcats. And a good bunt by Clark, one play. And Yamas makes it with Pickens covering first.
And that's something you just don't see as much around Division I college softball, the use of the sacrifice bunt. And Kentucky has been relentless in using the sacrifice bunt this season. It has led to a lot of runs for their team. They are 12th in the nation in terms of sacrifice bunts. They'll do it through the lineup, and perfectly executed there from Clark.
Brings up Lauren Borzilleri with a runner in scoring position. She's driven in 15 on the year. There's that endless debate about the value of a bunt, trading an out for a base. 1-0 pitch. And people have a tendency, Carol, I think, to think of it in terms of big league baseball, where a bunt is almost always an automatic out. But I had a coach once tell me, a collegiate coach, that at this level, even in the SEC, every bunt's an adventure.
I feel like it's really a lost art because,
Sure, yeah.
you know, young kids, they go to travel ball or they're in high school and they fall in love with the game and they're playing there. They're not going to bunting lessons. They're going to hitting lessons, you know, and so everybody, you know, from the moms and dads in the stands to the player, everybody likes to just dig in there and grip it and rip it. And there's nothing better than a perfectly executed bunt. It forces the defense to move, to make decisions, and it's not always an automatic out at all. And but I just don't feel like it's practiced enough, it's emphasized enough, and then you get to the postseason and you really need one and you just haven't practiced it, or teams aren't confident. I tell you what, this Kentucky team is very confident up and down the lineup because they are so good at angling the barrel down, getting the ball in the dirt, and forcing the defense to make a play.
Borzilleri takes a 3-1 pitch for ball 4. So now they're at first and second with one out. And a mound visit for Ole Miss.
Well, that brings out Nancy Evans, the pitching coach for Ole Miss. This is uncharacteristic of Wachenio, and just trying to get on the same page and give her freshman a little redirect and a little shot of confidence. I mean, this is extremely rare to have 2 walks out of the first 3 batters for the freshman, and now she's going to have to work out of it a bit against the heart of the Kentucky order.
Evans in her first year on Jamie Traxel's staff out of Arizona. She had a lot of staff turnover. Aaron Earlywine, a first-year assistant, as is Bobby Buchanan. And her ops director, Savannah Sykes, in her second year.
Yeah, and that was intentional from Jamie Traxel. She really wanted to bring in a staff that had a lot of experience, had made decisions during games to help her with that in-game decision making, and it's really paying off for Ole Miss this season.
Now Peyton Plotts. 32 runs batted in on the season, and a big opportunity here to tie the game or more. This is at bat number 101 for her on the year. 39 base hits.
Well, this is the hitter you want up if you are Kentucky. Peyton Plotts has been just so steady really her entire career, even though she's a sophomore. Even as a freshman, she was just very steady, very consistent.
There's a strike. Wachenio needed that one. You might have seen after ball 2, she shot a look into the dugout. Plotts 12 doubles, 2 triples, 5 home runs. 2 balls, 1 strike. Kentucky faithful didn't like the call, neither did the Kentucky dugout. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wildcats with 2 aboard by virtue of walks. And a 1 hopper runs it full.
Yeah, Wachenio is just not comfortable in the circle today. And every pitcher out there knows some days it just feels real easy to find the strike zone, and other days it does not. Another full count here for Wachenio, and those balls have really not been competitive pitches through the zone.
Yes, she went. And that was likely ball 4. So 2 out.
A huge sigh of relief for Wachenio. She tries to tuck this rise ball on the inner half of the plate. And it's an excuse me swing from Peyton Plotts, and then not what you want from your cleanoff batter when you really have the pitcher on the ropes.
So Cassie Reisner will try to keep it going for the Wildcats with 2 out. 287 hitter. She's driven in 22. Well, you said it. That was a huge out to retire Plotts in a situation like this, and that goes back to what you said earlier. Moments early in the game can be vital. Ball's behind. She's been behind every hitter, Coach.
Yeah, just not the start that she wants, and I anticipate her, if she can get through this inning, to head out to the bullpen and just, you know, work on her timing or rhythm a little bit. I mean, let's face it, it's a lot colder today than it has been, and sometimes just loosening up and getting your body in position. And there she ripped off a nice pitch on the inner half of the plate to come back for 2 balls and 1 strike.
Could not catch up with it. Reisner named the D1 Softball National Player of the Week after the series against Missouri. Squared it up, but right at Ryan Starr, the shortstop. And the Rebels escape as the Wildcats lead 2, 1 inning in the books. Ole Miss 1, Kentucky nothing on the SEC Network.
Yesterday, Ole Miss, Kentucky, just every game very exciting in the SEC this season.
A pinch hitter for Ole Miss, Tenley Grisham now batting in the 8-hole for Ryan Starr. And as the Ole Miss shortstop, but this is not unusual for the Rebels.
Yeah, they're just so creative. You don't see a pinch hitter the first time through the lineup very often, but in this case, Ryan Starr, a little more of a defensive specialist for Ole Miss out there at shortstop, and not having the most success on offense. So Ole Miss has got real creative in terms of using their batting order, bringing in pinch hitters. They also, the De Leon, their third baseman, can move over to shortstop. So they have a lot of ways they can be creative with their offense, to kind of trade offense for defense. You hear about that in basketball a lot. But, a little bit in softball and baseball as well, but you're seeing this the first time through the lineup for Ole Miss.
Rebels got a run in the first after the first 2 batters struck out, but strung together 3 consecutive base hits, including 2 doubles. Grisham, a sophomore from Philadelphia, Mississippi. Redshirted last year. Two balls, 2 strikes. Now, Grisham is a true freshman, 29 appearances or 29 games, but primarily as a pinch runner. But now a chance with the bat in her hand.
And you see this a lot from the Ole Miss hitters. They'll swing away early in the count, and if they have a little bit of speed and barrel control, they'll switch to the slap game with 2 strikes.
Center field, Sullivan on the run, and you see what the wind did with that fly ball. I got to think, Carol, that warm-ups were so vital today to get a read on the way the wind is blowing.
Oh, yeah, this ball goes up, and it hangs up in the air a long time, and you think, oh, somebody's going to camp under that, but no way. Today, Sullivan calls it early and fully commits to making the catch, ends up making a dive, and you know, sometimes on days like today, you've got to keep your feet moving. Lots of communication.
Angelina De Leon. She's knocked in 12 with a couple of home runs. Batting in the 9-hole, the senior hitting .237. He has drawn 12 walks on the year. And in 29 games, now 30, only 7 strikeouts. The ball's 2 strikes. La Quintana got off to that great start and then made a couple of mistakes, and not uncharacteristically, Ole Miss jumped on him. That's out of play.
Well, something that's so impressive about the Ole Miss offense in general, you get halfway through the season and you're facing the type of pitching that Ole Miss faces day in and day out. You know, you're going to strike out from time to time. There's a lot of good pitching this league, but you look at this Ole Miss offense and they have more walks than strikeouts as a team halfway through the season, and that is just shows you their experience, their ability to have a good eye at determining balls and strikes. We've seen that, a lot of foul balls. They just kind of fight in there and until they can drive something and just kind of refuse to go down looking.
Routine play for Cassie Reisner, and there are 2 out. Now the top of the order, Taylor Malvin. She was caught looking her first time up. If you're watching from outside the Commonwealth, which we appreciate, it is an odd start time, 11 a.m. Eastern. But there is bad weather on the way, and it's not too popular right now. As we said, with this wind, you see folks huddled under blankets, all the layers they put in the back of the closet, figure they were done with them for the year. Nice job down the line. Malvin's going to get extras. Allie Blum into the corner, but that's going to be a triple with 2 outs. Nice piece of hitting, Coach.
Well, and exceptional speed. The minute this ball gets by Blum, she's not only thinking 3, she's thinking inside the park home run, but Blum does her best, takes a drop step angle, really opens up her hips and tries to drop step and keep that ball in front. It's a full-on dive, but the ball just has too much pace and gets all the way to the deepest corner of the park.
So now Lair Boutte, she also struck out her first time up with 2 outs, and the Rebels threatening again. Now give Blum credit, she got to her feet right now and made a clean pickup out there. One ball, 1 strike. Weather also prompted the change right up the street with the baseball Wildcats playing Auburn. 2 o'clock start moved up to 11 a.m. And of course, also on campus later, the Kentucky women's basketball team playing Kansas State, 2nd round of the NCAA tournament. That hitter tried to get the corner, but for the 2nd time, an Ole Miss player wears one. Now they're at the corners with 2 out. And just like in the first, Carol, a threat with 2 outs.
And what you're looking for here is, you know, does Boutte go over the strike zone? And that's really tough for us to see because the ball does not move. And what you're looking for, does she take that right elbow and really lay it out over the plate or into the ball? And that's what Coach Lawson is talking about a little bit. Like, look, that pitch is not, you know, that far off of the strike zone. Why we, you know, have 2 hit by pitch already? And that's the conversation that's happening. And from our angle, it's just tough. You're looking for the ball to shift a little bit. Does it change in its trajectory? And didn't really see a whole lot there.
I felt like we had a pretty good look at that in terms of whether the ball was over the plate in the strike zone. I thought she was in the batter's box when she was hit, quite frankly.
Well, and if you are in the batter's box, you don't have to move anymore to get out of the way. But what we're really looking for is that right elbow.
Yep.
Is she sticking it toward the ball, like right where the ball is? Is she really going to swing? You know, is it a, you know, what's happening with her left elbow, or excuse me, her right elbow?
In other words, did the ball hit her or did she hit the ball?
Yeah, because if it's intentionally you're trying to get hit with the pitch and the ball is, you know, very close to the strike zone, really arguably could even been called a strike.
Correct.
A little bit high in the zone, but, you know, we've seen that pitch be called for a strike as well. So Rachel Lawson is using 1 of her 2. She only gets 2 in the game. She's just so passionate about it. She's going to use one of her reviews here to check that call.
I gotta think she might have communicated in some way with Hallie Mitchell behind the plate. But is there enough evidence with the video to reverse the call? You won't find a more competitive coach on this campus than that woman right there. I'm a little confused by what he just said. Okay, now I get it. Daniel, our producer, heard the same thing I did. So basically the ruling, coach, was that she hit the ball did not hit her. So a break for the Wildcats. Pull out your eraser.
Well, and clearly the hitting strategy against La Catena for Ole Miss, you noticed it in the first few batters of the game, they are getting very tight to the plate. They're certainly in the batter's box, but they're really kind of hunting that outside pitch, letting a lot of the inside pitches go. That's why we've seen 2 hit by pitch already on inside pitches, but they're really hunting that outer part of the plate. That's where La Catena likes to live. She creates a lot of her outs. And so that's why we've had a little bit of controversy here about, you know, is the batter in the box? Is the ball out of the box? And all of that being said, we have a runner that's back in the box hitting.
And now with a 3-1 count. Another walk issued by La Catena, or another free bag, I should say. So Boutte winds up on first anyway. That is the first walk issued, but the second free pass, she hit a batter in the first inning. And that brings up Alea Binford, the DP. And it could be, yes indeed, it looks like a new pitcher on the way. So we will step out. Ole Miss 1, Kentucky nothing on the SEC network.
Here it's La Catena's thrown a lot of pitches, a lot of balls, a lot of free passes. This is just a change of tempo switch as much as a strategy switch for Kentucky.
Hendages, another transfer from Oregon State. Runner on the way, and Hamilton now behind the plate. So now second and third with 2 out. That's trouble down the line, but there, and it pops out of her mid. Peyton Plotts couldn't haul it in.
Now that win today, I mean, there is nothing sure or secure. I mean,
Yeah.
Peyton Plotts catches that ball 99 out of 100 times, but here's the 100th time, and you've got to really err on the side today with that swirling wind of getting under the ball, keep your feet moving. That could have gotten them out of the inning, and instead you give Binford, one of the best hitters in this lineup, another opportunity.
It looked like with Plotts, it hit the heel of her mitt. Took her eye off it just ever so slightly. As Carol said, that wind makes every fly ball challenging. 3 balls, 1 strike. Pulled the string, and she drives it, but there's Plotts making up for the ball she dropped down the right field line. Endigas helps the Wildcats work out of the jam, and it remains 1-0 Ole Miss on the SEC Network. And there's Jamie Traxel in her 5th year out of St. Cloud State. And look at the job she's done, and she's got World Series experience just like Rachel Lawson.
Well, she's done a phenomenal job at Ole Miss, and really having the best season Ole Miss has ever had this year. But her leadership, she's been at North Dakota State as a co-head coach for many years. It's one of the top programs in the upper Midwest, and went to Iowa State for a year and then had the opportunity at Minnesota, and all she did in her first year was go to the Women's College World Series. And you know, so she knows how to win. She knows how to win at a high level, and really has built something special this year at Ole Miss.
Now Hallie Mitchell batting for the first time. And it's been a long game so far with a lot of pitches and 1 review. Ole Miss putting pressure on the Wildcats in each of the first 2 innings, and both times with 2 out. Mitchell, 3 home runs. She's driven in 11. And of course had the big blast on Friday night.
Yeah, the walk-off. I mean, what an exciting game that was.
Yeah.
Extra innings, and that was her 2nd home run of the game.
Yep.
Had a 2-run home run earlier in the day.
That's a career for some kids. Senior from Forsyth, Illinois. There's a couple of triples to her credit. And draws the leadoff walk. That's what happened in the first inning for the Wildcats, who stranded 2.
I think the count's still 3-1. Yeah, here she comes. She comes
right.
back.
I thought maybe I'd lost a pitch somewhere.
Still a lot of pitches for Wichenio. This is just uncharacteristic. She's yet to settle in, and typically really pounds the strike zone early and often. Not today.
Spanked into center field. Drops in for the Melvin. And Mitchell reaches anyway. But this time it's a base hit.
Makes the most of her second chance there. Kind of gave herself a second chance as she tried to draw the walk. But with full count, Wichenio is working from behind. And when you work from behind as a pitcher, you have to bring the ball in. You don't want to give up that walk. And Kentucky's had some really good pitches to hit as they've worked the counts deep in their favor.
And now Carissa Hamilton. And a good pitch down and in for Wichenio. Hamilton moving behind the plate for the pitching change. That one broke in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
With Chenio, just, typically as a pitcher, one of the first things you learn is about the power lines. Keep everything on the power line. Your stride, your arm circle, your follow through. And with Chenio today, a little bit off balance, and that has caused a lot of her pitches to really not be competitive pitches in the zone. These haven't been tough decisions for the Kentucky hitters.
Foul ground, but playable. Nicely done by Yamas. She found the fence of the dugout and then went after the ball.
Yeah, can't do it any better than that, and it's an advantage here to be that left-handed first baseman. She could get her left hand out, just kind of guiding the way, heading over toward the fence, and again, with the wind blowing, you just have to stay focused all the way till it gets to the glove and gets the out.
And now for Delaney Hamilton, Kentucky sends up Anna Mock, a freshman from Indianapolis. So 1 on, 1 out. Could not catch up with the fastball.
I can't remember the last time. I mean, I've seen a lot of softball games as a coach, as a broadcaster, and where both teams, the first time through the lineup, has used a pinch hitter for the starting hitter. I mean, you see it once in a while. Again, it's Ole Miss a little more common with how they rotate their players, but we saw it for the 8th batter in the Ole Miss lineup, and we've seen it in the Kentucky, same part of the batting order here.
No balls, 2 strikes. A 3-pitch strikeout she chased upstairs, and there are 2 out. Rachel Lawson in her 18th year at Kentucky and has piled up easily more wins than any other coach in history. The 8 Supers, the World Series appearance in 2014. She has made softball a thing here in Lexington. They get great crowds here at John Kropp Stadium, especially at tournament time. Carol, you've been here for a lot of those.
Well, she's just one of the best in the business. Very committed not only to this program and knows how to win. Reached over 700 wins overall in her career earlier this season, and just one of the best at taking care, of course, of Kentucky and doing everything she can for this program, but also just one of the best at seeing the big picture for the sport. She's always very involved. She's been on the NCAA Rules Committee. She's been very involved with the NFCA on various levels, and just always wanting to do what's good for the sport.
2-0 pitch. Now runs it to 3-0. I love talking softball and baseball with Rachel, whether it's rules or the marketing of the sport. She's always a step ahead, it seems, mentally.
Yeah, I feel like every time I talk to her, I learn something.
Yeah.
She's just thinks differently and just thinks very creatively around the sport.
4-pitch walk. Mitch Barnard hired her away from Western Kentucky. Why? Because she kept beating Kentucky. So if you can't beat them, join them, or have them join you. Now, the top of the order, Allie Hutchins. She drew a walk. Runners at first and second with 2 out. I always like to make note of the fact that this program has come so far from the days they played their games at Woodland Park. Which is a wonderful place, but that's not where you want your D1 program to play home games.
Can't say that I've been to Woodland Park.
Woodland Park, it's very nice. I've played softball there myself. I lived right around the corner, walked my dog there, but no. You don't want an SEC team to have to go over there to play its home games. Of course, the league, I mean, you're going back a lot of years. The league has grown exponentially since then. Facilities, coaches, coaching staffs, the recruiting budgets. It's so competitive and so much fun.
Well, and when you just look at sheer RPI and sheer number of teams that go to the postseason and the depth of runs in the postseason, the SEC has been the premier conference in our sport for many years.
Hutchins looks at a strike, top of the zone. Wind still blowing in. I don't think that's going to change, at least while we're playing softball. Now 3 balls and 1 strike.
A credit to Kentucky. They're being very patient against Huachenio today. She has thrown a ton of pitches early in this game. Up over 36 pitches already. We're not even through the 2nd inning and just really falling behind. And credit to Kentucky. They're being disciplined.
That was the same spot where strike 1 was delivered. So Hutchins will get back in the box. Count is full now with 2 outs and 2 on. 2nd consecutive inning, Kentucky's had 2 base runners. Got the inner edge. And a huge strikeout for Ole Miss, which after 2 innings leads 1-0 on the SEC network. For Kentucky, Kansas State with a big win in the 1st round. What a great time of the year, March, if you're a college sports fan. And we're glad to help you watch softball today as Percy Yamas stands in. Made the nice catch and foul ground from first base.
Yeah, I feel like this time of year, you know, bedtime goes out the window.
Oh,
because, you know, whether it's men's basketball, women's basketball, I mean, there's softball on, you know, and it's, you know, for sports fans, baseball, of course, all sorts of things. I mean, all of a sudden you look up and it's like, wow, it's midnight. I need to go to bed because I have other things to do. And you just get caught up in the moment, in the excitement, and just the magnitude of March Madness. It means so much. You can feel it's palpable when you're watching the game how meaningful, you know, each shot, each possession. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you have spent a lot of time in the state of Kentucky. You also know horse racing is rolling in. Keeneland, Churchill Downs, and the first Saturday in May, the Kentucky Derby. So it's all coming at us fast.
Yes, I've learned a lot about that since I've moved to this state.
I would hope.
Had the pleasure of going to the 150th Derby.
Did you?
Last year. That was a lot of fun. Usually when I was coaching here at Louisville, we were always on the road that weekend.
Sure,
just too much going on in the city, and so I never had the pleasure of attending. And it was the 2nd one I've been able to attend. It was a lot of fun.
I've been to close to 50 Kentucky Derbies, but it's kind of tailed off a little bit because the league used to schedule around Kentucky baseball the same way it did U of L, but of late the Wildcats often are playing at home on Derby weekend. Good pitch on the outer edge, freezes Yamas, and there's 1 out.
Something you do not see often. Just her 2nd strikeout of the season, but Hendiges paints the outside corner with this pitch, and it gets right on top of Yamas, and she is just totally caught off guard. Hendiges did a nice job of working her inside, really set up that outside strikeout pitch.
So now Lexi Brady doubled back in the 1st inning, but was stranded. Batting .394. She'll find her way on with a bruise. You do have to wonder if the chilly weather has affected the pitchers, their grip. You know, the wind may just be wreaking havoc with them.
Now this one just gets away from Hendiges. It just, you know, release point, released it way too early, couldn't finish it. No chance there for Brady. The one thing Hendiges will do for the Wildcats, you know, this has been, we were talking about it a little bit at the break, a little bit of a longer game through 2 innings. We just had a lot of pitches, some pitching changes, a lot of base runners, free passes. And Hendiges, just one of the quickest tempo workers in the league. I mean, she gets the ball and gets the sign and does not mess around. And Ole Miss has done their scouting report because they are in the box ready to go, ready for that pitch to get. And what that does for your defense, it just keeps your defense engaged. It keeps them on their toes, and any defender knows they like to work behind a pitcher who not only works at a good tempo, certainly works through the strike zone.
2-0. Bottom of the zone, 3 balls and 1. Well, the scoreboard said 3-0, now 3-1. In the air, Sullivan in center field, and that was about as routine as a fly ball will be on this day with the wind, which has died down just a little bit. So now Jaden Pone with 2 outs in the first inning. She hit a chopper to Allie Hutchins at third base. And a delayed steal. Actually, the ball gets away from Allie Mitchell, but Hutchins had to go up and get the ball, bobble it a bit, and gathered it in as she was falling to the bag and recorded the out sitting on third base. Not exactly a SportsCenter highlight, but interesting.
All body parts count, right? Just have to be touching the base there. And
exactly. You'll take it.
Not the way she practiced it, but the result ended up the same.
Good pitch on the outer edge. One ball, 2 strikes to Pone, 347 hitter. You know, to your point about pitchers throwing strikes, my partner on TV side, Doug Flynn, played 11 years in the major leagues as an infielder, and he has spoken about that many times. You love a pitcher's in the strike zone and working fast. Keeps you mentally sharp. You don't get bored. Your mind doesn't wander.
I mean, there's a lot of downtime in softball.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. And what you do during that downtime between the years is very important. You know, your self-talk and talking the game. And
she beat it out. Jaden Pone with the infield single. Clark got to it quickly. But Pone just so much speed out of that left-handed box.
Well, I showed you right there. The speed and the direction of the ball have a lot to do with whether or not you're safe or out. Look, the speed of the ball is a little slow. It's got a lot of hops in it. And the direction of the ball is away from first base. And that allows Pone, with her speed, to beat out the infield single.
You kind of knew there was trouble off the bat. So now they're at the corners with 2 outs. So Hennig is with the opportunity to work out of trouble. She plunked Brady, who's now at third, but made good pitches to Yamas, to Pickens, and made a lot of good pitches to Pone. But Pone, again, like so many of these Ole Miss hitters, just battling her way on.
And Ole Miss continues to be creative with this 8th spot in the lineup. We saw a pinch hitter early in the game. Ryan Starr went back into play defense, and now we have another pinch hitter.
Yep. Addison Duke batting here in the 3rd inning with 2 on and 2 out. Another lefty.
Oh, this is a good time to put Pone in motion as well. But with a pinch hitter up, you know, she gets thrown out. Then you took away that opportunity. But I just look for them to push the envelopes, is what Ole Miss does.
And they cranked up the double steal. And Ole Miss now leads it 2-0 as Brady timed it perfectly.
I'm just so impressed with Ole Miss and their ability to take the extra base. They push the envelope. Pone is just a straight steal, and the minute that ball is released, Brady commits, slides a little bit late to the outer half, and easily scores. And this is something we saw yesterday from Ole Miss. Really was able to take advantage of every opportunity they had, put the pressure on the Kentucky defense, and the Kentucky defense did not answer the call yesterday, did not answer the call today on the first third double steal.
Well, Kentucky trailing now 2-0 with a runner in scoring position for the Rebs. Kentucky has put similar pressure on the Ole Miss defense, but has not been able to get the big play when it needed on offense. Two balls, two strikes to Addison Duke.
Ole Miss is just always looking for that edge, and you know, and you say it all the time as a base runner, you go until the defense stops you. You don't stop yourself, and that's I think what we saw from that double steal. They're just pushing it.
Got the outside edge. That ends the rally, but Ole Miss creates a run. Rebels lead at 2-0 on the SEC Network.
To earn the big victory in Texas, you know, hit a walk-off home run. So
wow.
you never know what's going to happen in this league. A lot of fun.
A couple of defensive changes for Ole Miss as Madison Clark takes first. De Leon has moved over to shortstop. Kate Davis now playing third base for the Rebels. As Carroll said, Ole Miss, I don't know if it leads the league in creativity, but it's aggressive when it comes to making changes in game as Lauren Borzilleri stands in. Rebels with single runs in the first and third. Wildcats with just one hit. It might have been a good bunt, but it hit her. Fortunately for Borzilleri, she was still in the box.
Well, despite Uchenyo here having some struggles, I mean, she's given up 4 free passes.
Yep.
We're, you know, just through 2 full innings here, the bottom of the third. And so despite all of those free passes, Kentucky has not been able to take advantage with just the 1 hit.
And the Rebels have put the ball in play. They've done a good job taking advantage of pitching mistakes. They've reached the wall a couple of times with doubles. Solid hits. They've got 5 of them. That's up and in. Borzilleri coming into the game a .287 hitter. She got one of those free passes last time up. Drew the walk, her 12th of the year. End of the bat. Pickens says she has it, and she does. And there's 1 out. Now Peyton Plotts struck out her first time up. And even with all this traffic, Carol, Kentucky really hasn't had much chance in the way of hit and run or steals. Try to put pressure on Ole Miss defense.
And not only that, just haven't seen balls squared up. I mean, again, Uchenyo's had a lot of free passes, so Kentucky's been disciplined in the box, but when they have put the ball in play, you know, we just really, Hallie Mitchell, the only one who's really squared one up today, and then that's a credit to Wildcats. You know, sometimes being effectively wild can work in your to your advantage because it keeps the hitters guessing. But a lot of it has to do with her spin on the ball. She's able to put a lot of movement through the zone. She can work both sides of the plate, really favors that arm side, that pitching side rise ball, and runs into a right-handed batter.
Runner on the move. Not even close. They gunned down Madison Clark. Just as I say, Kentucky hasn't attempted to put any pressure, and you have got to credit Lexi Brady for the scoop behind the plate.
Yeah, how about that? The ball was, you know, bounced on the way there, and that's just a read from Maddie Clark. Usually you tell your athletes, you know, you see the ball in the dirt, you go, because that's a tough play for the catcher, and Brady got rid of that thing very quickly and right spot on the money. That wasn't even a close play.
Tried to slide around the tag, but no luck. Two outs now, bottom of the third. And again, you mentioned the number of pitches so far for Wildcats. She's run it full once again on Peyton Plotts. You can hear Brady called it and took it. And that'll do it. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across. When we come back, Jamie Traxel joins us. We'll chat with the Ole Miss coach on the SEC Network. In Oxford, hotty toddy. One of the charming traditions of the Southeastern Conference. Angelina De Leon leads things off for the Rebels here in the top of the 4th inning. They lead it 2-0. She's batting in a 9-hole. Grounded out to short her last time up. Only 14 hits on the year, and now make it 15. I was going to tell you, 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run. So her slugging, or 2 home runs. So her slugging percentage is impressive for a .237 hitter, but now she adds to that with a leadoff single. And when your 9-hole hitter can lead off an inning, coach, by getting on base, more's the better.
I mean, it's exactly what you want, and a lot of times that 9 batter does become the leadoff batter.
And an excellent bunt by Taylor Malvin as she just kills the ball in front of the plate. That's the second sack bunt we've seen today. Kentucky with 1, now Ole Miss with 1.
And both textbook, you know, getting the barrel at the top of the strike zone, angling the ball down in the dirt. I mean, anytime you can put the ball in the dirt and it's fair on a short game situation, you create a lot of moving parts for the defense, and good things can happen for your offense.
And now more pressure applied by Ole Miss as Lair Boutte stands in. A .424 hitter with a runner in scoring position. She has struck out and she has walked. Ole Miss has put pressure on Kentucky in each inning now and scored in the 1st and 3rd. Rebels trying to pick up a road series win. Good pitch.
They've had, let's see, 7 batters in the 1st inning, 5 in the 2nd inning, 5 in the 3rd inning. They're, you know, trying to work toward that here in the 4th inning. Just that's forcing the pitcher to throw a lot of pitches. And as you mentioned, pressure's a good word. When you've got runners on base every inning, there's just no chance to catch your breath. And we've seen that today from Ole Miss.
2-2 pitch. Blum in left field. Broke one way and then the other with this win. But there are 2 out now. And you know, with the wind blowing in, she still gave that a pretty good ride. So now Aaliyah Binford With 2 outs, she doubled in the first inning. After the first 2 hitters of the game had struck out. Next person up delivered an RBI single, and Ole Miss was on its way. Two and 0. De Leon at second now. She opened the inning with a single, sacrificed over. If you're just joining us, Alexia LaCantana opened the game but struggled. And she was replaced in the second inning by Sarah Hendiges, who's still in the circle. Six hits now for Ole Miss. Wildcats still with just the one.
On Binford, she gets her money's worth when she takes her swing. I mean, there she rarely gets cheated.
Just like that. So 3 balls, 2 strikes now. Got her. Ole Miss leaves a runner in scoring position. Rebels lead at 2-0. Rachel Lawson's up next to chat with us on the SEC Network at the University of Kentucky. 15 regional appearances, 8 super regional appearances, and a College World Series trip to Oklahoma City in 2014. I was fortunate enough to be doing the radio that year for Kentucky softball. Had a wonderful time at the World Series. Wished I had been able to stay there a little bit longer as Cassie Reisner leads off. But, Coach, that was the last year before they expanded the facility. It was bursting at the seams. The crowds were so big.
I was going to tell you, you should come back because now we have a second deck and the entire outfield's full. And let me tell you, we need a third deck because it's still busting at the seams. It seats over 12,000 and sold out every session, and we need more seats.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
a good problem.
It's very simple. There's a lot more seats in Omaha for the World Series there, and it'd be really nice to have that amount of seating because there's a lot of fans that want to come and enjoy, and it's worth the trip. Just the excitement and the high level softball, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yep. Pace of the games is great. Two-1 to Reisner. In between games or during another game where Kentucky wasn't playing, I walked around the concourse just to familiarize myself with the entire ballpark. And it took me forever because people were literally shoulder to shoulder on the concourse. You had to be patient to be able to move. 2-2 pitch. Reisner bounced to short back in the first inning, which ended the frame. Good pitch on the inner edge. 4th strikeout for Wachenio.
Well, Coach Traxel talked a lot about Wachenio making a pitch when she needed to. This clearly a strike as it's just running into Reisner, catches her off guard. But she's had a lot of full counts today, a lot of walks, some hit by pitch, and yet when she has needed it the most, she's been able to find it within herself to paint that corner. We've seen that quite a few times from Wachenio today.
Now Hallie Mitchell had a base hit to center fielder last time up. Worked her way to second base, but was stranded. Cats left 2 on in the second. Under the hands, another good pitch. Wachenio has thrown a lot of pitches, but at times she has made some excellent pitches. which you would expect, being among the nation's leaders in strikeouts.
Well, that's one of the stats that, you know, it's not always kept on paper, but it certainly is kept in your head and in your gut as a coach. Is, you know, what does a pitcher do when her back's against the wall? Can they make that pitch when your team needs it most? And although there hasn't been a lot of runners in scoring position for Kentucky, she's just fallen behind, a lot of full counts, and yet she's been able to come back. She's been able to come back and make pitches when she's needed it most.
Take another look at this. This is one of the odd plays.
Well, Hallie Mitchell gets hit by the pitch, but watch where her arm goes.
Yep.
It goes out over the plate, clearly out of the batter's box. And so the first thing you say, did it hit the bat, the knob of the bat? Is that a foul ball? No, it hit her. So she thought she was going to take her base, but the answer is no. You're going to stay right here and get another shot.
Good call. So 2 balls, 2 strikes now. And she's run it full. So you see a pitch like that, that clearly got away from her. She is liable to paint that corner with the very next pitch.
Living dangerously today.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. Just a lot of pitches, just struggling to work from ahead today. And here we find her again out of the money pitch, so to speak, full count. And she's been able to come through more times than not in this situation today.
But issues the walk. And a runner aboard again. The Wildcats have had a runner on in each inning. Well, Wachenio signaled early she was going to be a star. Earlier this year, she broke the single-game strikeout record at 19 at Southern Miss. Broke the record by 4. Followed that up with a no-hitter against Samford. So SEC Pitcher of the Week that week. And of course, that's why Jamie Traxel went out and signed her, but you had to wonder, did she see that in her immediate future? From Pala, California. A handful of Ole Miss players from the West Coast. Why not? A lot of good players out there.
Yeah, you're not going to find too many teams without some players from the West Coast.
Yep.
Not all of them, of course, but there's just it's definitely a hotbed, always has been, for fast pitch softball.
1-1. Now 2 balls, 1 strike.
I'd like to talk to Nancy Evans, pitching coach from Ole Miss, and say, wow, have you ever seen your pitcher fall behind this much in a game before? Because it just seems every single batter, she's Chanel's putting herself in hitters counts, and yet you look at the scoreboard and you see 1 hit. And how is this happening? You know, a lot of base runners, hit by pitch, the walks, but she's just been able to battle. And sometimes, you know, you don't want those games as a pitcher, but you find out a lot about yourself. Can you, on your bad days, so to speak, can you still lead your team to victory?
That's in the alley, and that is down for a base hit. Mitchell on the move. She's going to stop at third. The double gives the Wildcats runners at second and third with 1 out. Well, she kind of played with fire in the circle, and Hamilton finally got something she could drive.
It gets a pitch down in the zone and gets her barrel there and is able to just find the grass outside of the diving Pone. Love that effort by Pone. And that's just trust in your teammates, knowing someone's got the alley behind you, and they're able to prevent the run from scoring. But this is the first time today we've seen Wachenio really have her back against the wall here, as Kentucky's potentially a hit away from tying this game.
Delaney Sullivan with a chance. First pitch swinging. Yeah, give Melvin a lot of credit for backing her up. You see that a lot. Here comes Jamie Traxel hurrying to the circle. And Melvin got a good break on the ball. She knew it was going to be a backup situation clearly, but Pone inches from making a spectacular catch.
Well, this conversation with Jamie Traxel has nothing to do with the battery. The battery's just talking to each other. This has to do with where she wants to play her infield, as you see Benford warming up there in the bullpen. But Jamie Traxel wants to talk to her infield. You got Delaney Sullivan up, who is a slapper, really looking to put the ball in the infield. Not a lot of extra base hits. She also can swing away. She's got some extra base hits on the year, but just really want to play that short game, anticipating the angle down and the pressure that's going to come from a ground ball here with a runner in scoring position. Also wants to talk about the squeeze. Just a lot of things that can happen with a runner at third and some speed at the plate. And you see the Ole Miss infield now playing in the baseline.
Sullivan takes strike 2 now, down in the count. Has to guard the plate. One ball, 2 strikes. Sullivan, a sophomore, 250 hitter. Struck out her first time up. In the air to left, Pone making a play. Runner tags. And it's a 2-1 game. A throw into third forces Hamilton to remain at second base, but Sullivan gets it done. Wildcats are finally on the board.
Timely hitting there for Kentucky as Sullivan drives the ball deep. Really had a lot of options there with her speed as well, but she does swing away and shows you she does have good power to the opposite field. And she
went with the pitch too, and just simply shoved it into left. So now Allie Blum. Now they hit for her in the second inning. Mock drew a walk, so this is her first chance today to see Wachenko. Got a good cut. Falls behind 0-2. Tying run is at second base. Here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Basically the midway point of the last game. 3rd game of a 3-game set. Kentucky trying to protect its home turf. Ole Miss trying to get out of town with a series win. It's going to be trouble for De Leon. Safe. She scooped and threw in one motion, but Blum was flying. Now they're at the corners.
I just continue to be impressed with Allie Blum. Drew a walk in her first at bat, comes back, doesn't get a good piece of this ball, but she's such a good athlete, tremendous speed, really a 5-tool player for Kentucky, and she's able to leg this one out, and the inning continues for Kentucky as they turn over the lineup.
Yeah, I think I said Mock hit for her. She actually hit for Sullivan.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of a challenge. Yeah, I guess they are. So we'll wait. Top of the order is due up for Kentucky. So it's either the end of the inning. Runner safe. Infield single. That seemed pretty evident to me. But if you're Jamie Traxel, you're going to take every shot, I guess. But in a game like this, you might think you're going to need that challenge elsewhere. Take another look. You be the judge.
You're looking to see if her foot's on top of the base before the ball is in the back of the glove, and clearly that one, in my opinion, wasn't even close.
Nope. So Allie Hutchins has walked and struck out. Caught looking back in the second inning.
I think equally impressive here is Ole Miss's decision to stick with Wacheno. I mean, they are showing a lot of confidence in their freshman here. He's fallen behind the majority of the day. He's thrown a ton of pitches already in this game. This is the third time now through the lineup, the third look that the Kentucky hitters have at her, but they're just showing a lot of faith in Wacheno to work herself right out of this inning.
One ball, two strikes. Tying run at third base. Go-ahead run at first base. Kentucky's never led. Ole Miss jumped out 1-0 in the first, added a run in the third. Wildcats kept stranding runners. They have pushed one home here in the fourth. And that one gets away, runner scores. It's a tie game. The Wildcats tie it up in the most unlikely of ways, as Lexi Brady just couldn't handle it. I don't know if Wachenko crossed her up or what. You be the judge.
Well, the ball just gets, it turns over. It's a drop ball down in the zone. And if you're Lexi Brady, you've got to put your whole body in front of that ball. She tries to just pick it with her glove. It does kick away. And what a timely bounce for Kentucky.
You could make the argument that she swung at a bad pitch, which only helped. The ball was in the dirt.
It's a crazy game, Dick. You never know what's going to happen.
Coach, that's why you come to the ballpark every day. Every day. So now Madison Clark. They're at first and second now with 2 out. But that's just kind of the way this game has been. Wachenko works back, gets a strikeout, and yet a run scores. 84 pitches now for the Ole Miss right-hander. Off the fists, and an easy play for Yamas. That'll do it. The Wildcats leave 2 more, but they push across 2. After 4 innings, it's Kentucky 2, Ole Miss 2 on the SEC Network. SEC Network, Dick Gabriel, Carol Bruggeman, and overcast, breezy, to use a mild term, chilly Lexington. Sunday afternoon now. The game started in the morning as Percy Yamas swings at the first pitch she sees. And believe it or not, Carol, the wind has died down. I didn't think we'd see. It's going to be right back, but it's taking a break. And so that was a routine play for Delaney Sullivan. Brings up Lexi Brady. Lexi's been busy. A double back in the first inning. Hit by a pitch and scored on the back end of a double steal in the third. Gave Ole Miss a 2-0 lead. And that's a solid shot to center, but there's Sullivan. 2 out.
Boy, she played that well, read that well, drop stepped immediately. You want to read the ball off the bat. It's easier said than done. If you wait till the ball is in the air halfway to you as an outfielder, you're in trouble. And Sullivan just read that immediately and made that play look pretty easy.
Now Mackenzie Pickens. And to complicate matters, it was right at her. I've never met an outfielder who didn't tell you those ones right at you are the toughest.
Well, they sure are. You have no depth perception there, and you have no angles to read, and you don't know if it's going to drop in front of you or keep rising and go behind you. There's no doubt about it.
Rather run 15 yards. Stick your mid up. Pickens hit by a pitch back in the first. She was stranded. Also hit a fly ball to center field back in the third. So once again, Wildcats off to a good start, retiring the first two, but they did that in the first inning when they gave up a run. Retired the first two in the second inning. And the Rebels ended the inning with runners at first and third after a triple and a walk. We've not yet seen the cycle. We've had singles, doubles, and a triple. Now a ground ball to Reisner. And for the first time, Ole Miss goes down in order. On to the bottom of the fifth, tied at 2 on the SEC Network. Miley Wachenko back to the circle. Lauren Borzilleri leads things off for the Wildcats, who tied it up back in the fourth on a pass ball strikeout with a runner at third base.
Boy, and this game has certainly taken on a different feel. 2 reasons. Number one, that wind certainly has stopped. I mean, the flags are just still, and you know, it's a different game defensively when it comes to that. But secondly, just the momentum shift to Kentucky after being down and, you know, just kind of on their heels a little bit. Ole Miss doing the double steal to get their second run of the game, and all it took was last inning, stringing a couple hits together, and
they caught a break.
And then caught a break on the drop third strike.
Yep. Borzilleri 0 for 1 today. A pop fly to second and a walk. Now we mentioned we've been warned about the weather coming. We knew it was coming, but apparently it is impending. That may be why the wind stopped. That is a long foul ball. When we spoke with Rachel Lawson earlier, she just talked about committing. And a team, it seems, has done that more of late. Talked about California imports. This is one of them, Borzilleri from Riverside. And an excuse me foul ball.
No, she's really grown into really an elite hitter in this league throughout her career. It's been fun to watch her development. Really a little more of a role player, had various roles, sometimes defensively, offensively as a freshman, and more on the scene as a sophomore, of course, and now the everyday starter at first base, and hits in the heart of the lineup for Kentucky, really having an outstanding season. I mean, every time you kind of pull their stats from the last 10 games just to see who their hottest hitters are, she's always at the top of that list, top 2 of that list. Just been very consistent all season long.
7 multi-hit games, 10 base hits in the last 10 games. Off the fists, but here comes Pone. And there's 1 out. Got a good jump.
Pone really covers a lot of ground out there in left field. Gina started her career at Longwood as a second baseman, was just another one of those really good athletes that can play any position, and just covers a ton of ground out there.
Now Peyton Plotts, she's local. Pates Creek High School right down the road here in Lexington. That was a high fly ball in the alley and gone. Peyton Plotts with her 6th home run, and the Wildcats take the lead in dramatic fashion. I think even if that wind were still howling, that's out of here. She jacked that ball.
Just connects this pitch, and again, a little bit of an unorthodox swing. She's had one her entire career. Not a big follow-through for Plotts, but tremendous bat speed, exit velocity, to and through contact, gets extended, and the momentum continues to shift toward Kentucky. A huge home run for Peyton Plotts as Kentucky gets their first lead of the game.
And now 33 runs batted in on the season for Plotts. By far leads the Wildcats, thanks to Big Blue Bomb number 6. That has her second on the team to this young lady, Cassie Reisner. Ochenio left that pitch up and out over the plate. And Plotts made her pay for the mistake. So Kentucky has scored in back-to-back frames. Just the 4th base hit of the day. And look what's back. The wind. Just a little bit, but it's still blowing in. 2-1. Off speed. Now a hitter's count for Reisner.
Well, we've seen this the entire game. Ochenio is laboring through this game, has fallen behind. A lot of hitters counts. She's been able to work herself out of it really through the first few innings, but here in the middle of the game, Kentucky has made her pay, drawn a few walks, some timely hits. Obviously the big home run from Plotts, but Ole Miss continuing to stick with their freshmen.
Opening weekend against Mizzou, Reisner had a huge time. 3 home runs, drove in 10 with 6 hits. Had a 5 RBI game. National Player of the Week. Down the line, that is a fair ball. Makes the turn, but Pone up with it quickly, and a strong throw holds it to a single. So back-to-back base knocks for the Wildcats for the first time today.
Once again, Reisner in a hitter's count. This pitch left over the middle of the plate and just has eyes on the fair side of the third base bag. And Pone again continues to impress.
Yes. Cuts
that ball off very quickly and shows you the rocket, the cannon she has out there, and holding Reisner to a long signal.
Now a trip to the circle for Brady. You see Wachenko with a war paint under that mask. So with 1 out and 1 run in, Hallie Mitchell will try to keep the rally alive. That hit her bat.
Mitchell just tends to, she's right on top of the plate, and her arms, always drift. Her first move is a little bit toward the plate, even when she's hitting. It's the second time we've seen that happen, where this time it hits her bat. It's actually a foul ball. The first time it hit her.
That is high and deep. Melvin goes back, and with a little bit of room to spare, hauls it in. 2 out.
Boy, we've seen some really nice outfield play today from both teams. And that was not an easy catch for Malvin as she had shaken it off a little bit. She caught that ball right on the fence.
Banged into it.
Banged her hand and got caught a little bit, pinched more than anything, as that ball had some good pace on it. She still came up with the play. Huge out.
Checking on her out of the dugout, and now returns. The Wildcats teeing off a little bit on Wachenko.
Mitchell was going for the three-peat there, trying for her 3rd home run. It's just a couple feet short there.
She is seeing the ball. So now Carissa Hamilton doubled her last time up and scored a run for the first run of the game for the Wildcats. First pitch swinging, but gets under it. Pickens ends the inning for the Rebels, but the Wildcats take the lead on the big fly by Plotts. It's 3-2 Kentucky. 3-2 Wildcats lead at Ole Miss. Got the early lead with single runs in the first and third. The second coming on the double steal executed perfectly by the Rebels. Wildcats finally broke through in the fourth inning with a couple of runs. A sac fly. And a pitch in the dirt. And then a big fly by Peyton Plotts. Fifth inning. No doubter. The Wildcats their first lead of the afternoon. And a comebacker off the bat of Jaden Pone, and a good start for Sarah Hendiges, who's now retired 6 straight.
Yeah, she's been really impressive since she came into this game. All the momentum was on Ole Miss side. Now it's completely shifted to Kentucky, and she's retired the last 7 straight batters.
Yep. So now Tate Davis, caught looking her last time up. Rebels had all kinds of traffic early. It was actually Davis's first AB. As Grisham and Duke batted in this slot.
Come on now, don't lose her.
And she jumps out 3-0. Rebels went in order last inning, the only time they've done that today. And they will not go quietly in this inning. And now 1 on, 1 out for De Leon.
There's that off-speed pitch from Hendiges. That's really the difference maker for her. She can throw it on any count. She can throw it on either side of the plate. And it just really is a difference maker for her.
That is fading. No chance for Plotts. Rebels have drawn 2 walks, but they've also been plunged twice. And one of the batters who was hit by a pitch came around to score. It's funny how that works, especially if it's first person on. No balls, 2 strikes. Tried to get the outer edge. You're not kidding about that momentum. Feels like a different game, doesn't it?
It sure does. The first 3 innings, just all Ole Miss.
Runner goes. Got her. Nice job for the Wildcats defensively when they needed a big play, and Hamilton delivered.
Well, and this pitch coming in is actually an off-speed pitch, so she has to wait a little bit longer for the ball to come in, but the throw could not be more on the money. Lower part of the bag, and an easy tag.
And now a base knock for De Leon. So the hits just keep on coming, but a huge out, as Carol said. And credit the shortstop. Let that ball travel. Don't reach for it and swipe. Top of the order, Taylor Malvin. She's been busy. A sac bunter last time up. In the second inning, a triple down the left field line. Went the opposite way. Well, the Wildcats got that 3rd run just in time. They got it in the 5th inning, which means the game is official, just in case there's too much weather coming up. One ball, 1 strike. Taylor Malvin trying to find her way on. That's a foul ball. Scoreboard still has De Leon at the plate.
Oh, very important for Kentucky defense to be clean, be quick with their decisions here. A lot of speed at the plate.
Just like that, the Wildcats get the comebacker when they need it the most. Kentucky 3, Ole Miss 2 on the SEC Network. New pitcher for Ole Miss, Aaliyah Binford, the designated player, now in the circle. They'll try to keep the Kentucky bats quiet. The Wildcats naturally looking for insurance in a 3-2 game here in Lexington. The Texas native transferred in from Baylor, making her 11th appearance. She is 5-0 and has thrown 4 complete games for the Rebels. 50 innings.
So we've been looking for this change from Ole Miss really for a few innings. They really stuck with Chano a long time, and when it comes to Binford, an experienced veteran in the circle. She's pitched a ton of pressure innings her entire career, and you're really going to see her work east-west, side-to-side along the plate. The majority of her out pitches are an off-speed pitch.
Delaney Sullivan, the first hitter she faces. Binford twice named All Big 12 at Baylor, and last year was the D1 softball comeback player of the year. Two-time high school All-American. Last year for the Bears, 153 innings, 154 strikeouts. 12 complete games. That's a base hit for Sullivan, sharply hit. Binford got a little piece of it, but De Leon just couldn't make it in time.
Yeah, this one's left too much over the plate, and Sullivan has made the most of her last 2 at-bats. She was pinch hit for in the first inning, but had the sac fly in the 4th inning, and now gets the leadoff single.
Drove in a key run in the 4th, the first for the Wildcats. So now Allie Blum. She had an infield singler last time up. Bunts right through, got a little piece of it.
Got a little bit late getting squared around, trying to be too fancy and too much of a surprise there. The ball just got up on her too quickly.
That's a fair ball. Nobody covering third, and heads up base running by Sullivan. Binford finally got over and covered.
Well, and Kentucky doing to Ole Miss what Ole Miss has been doing to them this whole series. And nobody at third base, a slow rotation on the coverage as both the pitcher and first baseman go to the bunt. The third baseman, remember this is a replacement third baseman, and Tate Davis, very slow getting back to the base. Binford can't get over there as well. That's just a good read from Delaney Sullivan to get to third base.
And big speed. And now Allie Hutchins with 1 out and a runner at third, with a huge opportunity to give the Wildcats that insurance we were talking about. Is Kentucky trying to manufacture a run?
Boy, sure would. You've got a lead and you're down 1 with this Ole Miss offense. You think that's, we can do that in 1 inning. That's manageable. We can, but boy, you get that second run in the bottom of the 6th inning to take the 4th run, but a 2-run lead.
There it is.
They're going to get. That's a big difference.
Pulling up with it quickly as usual. Holds her to a single, but a clutch RBI base knock for the leadoff hitter, Allie Hutchins. Wildcats lead it 4-2.
Yeah, sometimes what I was going to say is 2 runs can feel like 10 when you have 3 outs to play with. And good extension from Allie Hutchins. This pitch is actually on the outer half of the plate, and she still gets out in front of it, pulls it down the line. Now Kentucky has a 2-run lead.
And how big does that play look now? With Sullivan going first to third on a ball bunted 6 feet from the plate. Madison Clark will try to keep it going. And by the way, that bunt barely missed the bat that was on the ground, which would have killed the play. Checked it, but it's a strike. And it was interesting, too, going back 2 plays, that Ole Miss played the ball instead of hoping it would go foul, but it looked like it was dying. And they did get the out, of course, but gave up third base. So we've seen a big blue bomb score a run for the Wildcats, and then a huge play on a bunt that trickled in front of the plate. Left side, only 1 play, and Davis makes it. 2 out now, but a runner at second. Brings up Lauren Borzilleri, looking for her first hit after a fly ball to left, a pop up to second, and a walk. Wildcats lead by 2 with 1 inning left. And the wind now blowing left to right.
Well, this Kentucky offense looks completely different in the second half of the game. Just not a lot of pressure put on the Ole Miss defense. Not a lot of balls in play. I mean, they drew a few free passes, but just didn't really make the Ole Miss defense work. And we have seen a different Kentucky team taking the extra base, getting the timely hit. They find themselves with the lead late in the game.
Binford was having a big year in 2023, but shut it down after 11 games with an injury. Came back large last year, as we said, comeback player of the year in D1 softball. Transferred to Ole Miss. And that'll do it for the Wildcats, but they push across. 1 more run. We'll go to the 7th. Kentucky 4, Ole Miss 2 on the SEC Network. Some fans have remained, and the Kentucky Wildcat backers have seen their team take a 4-2 lead into the 7th inning, trying to shut things down here at John Kropp Stadium. To Gabriel Carroll Bruggeman. Ole Miss owned the first 3 innings, led it 2-0. Kentucky has scored in each of the next 3, including a home run and a run scored and a wild pitch on strike 3. And now Lair Boutte will try to get things going for the Rebs. She drew a walk back in the 2nd inning. She's 0 for 2 and leads off with a base hit. That's how rallies are born. First pitch swinging. So 2-3-4 hitting for Ole Miss. And now the number 3 hitter, Leah Binford, can certainly help herself. Open the game as the designated player and moves into the circle. Pinch runner for the Rebels, Star Ferguson, an A&M transfer from Sugar Land, Texas. Binford a double, scored a run back in the 1st inning. A fly ball to right, struck out last time. Got the double off La Quintana, the Kentucky starter.
Well, if you're Ole Miss, this is the part of the order you want up, and exactly what you wanted to happen, getting the leadoff batter on. Now the pressure shifts to Kentucky. A lot of power in this 3, 4, 5 slot here for Ole Miss.
Pulled the string. 2 balls, 1 strike. Interesting pitch choice behind 2-0.
Well, and no short game for this part of the lineup for Ole Miss as well. I mean, they are trusting their hitters. I mean, these are the 3 of the top 4 hitters.
Driven. Deep right. Plotts runs it down. And the runner off the bag. That's a double play. Pinch runner was off with contact. She thought that was going to get to the wall. And a heads-up play by the Kentucky right fielder. She drove this ball.
Not your typical double play, but look at this angle from Plotts. Takes a perfect angle, drop steps, and what a play by Borzilleri to dive back for the double play. The ball's just got to get there before the base runner. And I was watching Star Ferguson. She had already hit second base, and the minute that ball was caught, she did not go back and hit second base and go back in order. So if anyone else was paying attention in the Kentucky dugout, which I'm sure they were, they could have got her out that way as well. So just an outstanding play. I mean, Binford couldn't have hit that ball any better, and but one-upped, an even better defensive play from Plotts as she timed that, read that, drop stepped, and timed her reach perfectly.
I was wondering why the runner made that play so close at first base. But if she skipped second, now we know.
She actually touched second base, to your point, thought the ball was hit well enough to not be caught. Coming back, she went straight to first base.
Can't do that.
Got to touch them in reverse order.
Yep. Percy Yamas, 3 balls, 1 strike. We saw a home run in baseball on Friday night. Stand by. And the third base coach, Nick Bengione, thought that the hitter had missed first base, made him go all the way back and retouch every base.
Well, here you get a better look at it. So the ball is absolutely crushed by Binford deep into the gap, and Star Ferguson, instead of going out and taking a look, she takes her eye off the ball, and look, she touches second base and then takes back off to first. So that would have been an appeal play anyway, and they would have got that out. Yep.
But you're right, that's not going to get past really anybody.
Well, and then conversation with Rachel Lawson here after Yamas gets to first base is because Lexi Brady, all she did yesterday was hit a 2-run home run to get Ole Miss right back into the game, and then ultimately in the 6th inning they scored a lot more runs to get to the victory. But Coach Lawson wants to make sure she has a conversation with Sarah Hendigas about how they want to pitch Brady. This is the batter, that circle, that you do not want to make a mistake with. She can tie up this game with 1 swing.
Again, the wind blowing in, but slightly, not gale force winds like we had earlier. By the way, a single and a walk sandwiched around that great play, which started with a ball driven to the fence. So Ole Miss at the plate, showing a lot of confidence, but so far nothing to show for it as Brady stands in. Doubled back in the 1st inning. And jumps out 2-0. Was hit by a pitch in the 3rd, scored a run. Fly ball to center field, deep center, her last time up. Off-speed pitch, but down and in, 3-0 now. And Kentucky in danger of putting the tying run on base. Four-pitch walk.
You know, a little bit of an intentional walk there. They didn't want to mess with Lexi Brady. She's just having an outstanding weekend for Ole Miss. And
so now Mackenzie Pickens, the 2nd baseman, hit by a pitch back in the 1st, a fly ball and a ground ball. And a pinch runner for Ole Miss, Taylor Strain. The Rebels, her run means everything. Starts Pickens off with an off-speed pitch, but locates for a strike. It's the kind of game you'd expect from these two teams with a series on the line. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wildcats won the opener on a walk-off home run. Rebels came back and won it. Got a big home run of their own. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ole Miss down to its last strike. Center field. Sullivan hauls it in for the Wildcats, and Kentucky wins the series by taking game 3 by a final of 4-2. Cats got 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, and 1 in the 6th to erase a 2-0 Ole Miss lead. And Kentucky runs its SEC mark to 5-4. Ole Miss now 3-3, 26-6 overall. Kentucky 21-11. That's the way you grind out a win, Coach.
Just a story of the tale of never giving up in a game. This game was all Ole Miss.